You'd be up to your hips with shit you never imagined. With the woman you unconditionally love.
Joel is always there for me. He is my rock and my best friend and my lover and my lookout.
Any other questions, Connor?
No. Well, I have one, actually, but it's not for you guys.
What?
This question, actually, if you wouldn't mind.
Shut up.
This one's for my girlfriend, Camilla.
Well, then, let's not keep Camilla waiting.
First of all, Camilla, surprise.
Surprise.
Second of all, I have a question for you.
Get ready.
I think I'll actually just let the real me go ahead and ask that one.
Shut the f up. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Shut up.
I know. Stand up.
Are you kidding me?
No. I've been lying to you a little bit, babe.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
I don't even know what's coming, but are you crying?
It's not a show, babe. It's not real. It's all for you.
Are
It's
you
all...
kidding me?
No.
Are you kidding?
Babe, it's been awesome being your boyfriend. But if you're cool with it, I'd rather be your husband.
All right, skip that. Let's start the show. Boo, millennials!
Welcome to Cordkillers, lovers. Our mission is to report the intel from the front lines of the cord-cutting revolution so you can watch the stuff you love when you want, where you want, on whatever damn device you choose. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Old Man Brian Brusher.
I don't want to say Generation X was better than millennials, but we had better pickup lines than if you're cool with it, I'd rather be your husband. Come on.
You got to admit, getting Timothy Oliphant to be on the couch for your proposal is pretty cool.
Yeah, along with Drew Barrymore there.
Right.
I mean, it's adorable. This is a piece put out by Netflix about how they helped somebody propose to his girlfriend by creating a fake reality show, getting his girlfriend roped in on it, playing what looked like an episode of Santa Clarita Diet, and revealing that secretly it was all it's just a prank, bro. We're millennials. Yeah. Be a husband if you're cool with it.
Just Netflix and propose.
Yeah, well, and by the way, Bonnie watched that and she was all, oogie, oogie. And then she was like, so is now the chill? I'm like, yes, this is when it becomes hardcore pornography. Enjoy.
Yes, right after that. We cut it off. Sorry about that. You can go find it yourself. We have got a special Cordkillers for you because it is going to be packed full of news, compression algorithms in place, because we can't wait to get to spoiler in time this week. If you're not a Patreon, you got to be a Patreon to get our Star Wars Last Jedi spoiler in time. But let's not waste any time. Get right to the primary target. So it finally happened. Disney and Fox are hooking up.
Only partially. They're only exchanging a little bit of DNA. I mean, they will remain
most of it. Disney announced its agreement to acquire most of 20th Century Fox. They get the movie studios, they get the regional sports networks, the cable channels, the production arms. A new company called Fox will spin off out of this. Fox broadcasting stations, like local television stations, and the Fox National Network, along with the national sports like FS1 and FS2 and Fox News, will all stay outside of Disney. They will be a new company called Fox. But Disney gets everything else, including, Brian, controlling ownership of Hulu, since Fox and Disney each own 30%. After this, Disney will own 60%. Comcast and Time Warner own the remainder. Disney expects the acquisition to take 12 to 18 months to close. So all of our speculation aside, this isn't happening soon.
Yeah, well, and more importantly, I'm curious what this does to affect the upcoming Netflix-like Disney thing, right? Because on the one hand, the moment you read this, it's like, oh, great, a bunch of Fox content now available on the Disney thing, which means you can see rated R Deadpool and Logan right next to all the Disney programming, which is the reason that you got it for your kids. And so, but weirdly, the Hulu thing throws a wrinkle into it, because do you think Disney has to retool anything to make its Disney Netflix-like service exist in an ecosystem next to Hulu, which is 60% controlled by Disney?
Yeah, it is interesting. It's easy to think, well, now that Disney owns Fox, everything Fox ever had is Disney. And that's not the way these mergers work. A lot of times the acquired companies still compete with their other companies within. So I wouldn't immediately say like everything on FX is going to that new Disney channel. It's a Disney channel. It'll have the Marvel stuff. And so, yeah, maybe Deadpool, maybe X-Men, that's Marvel stuff. So maybe they move that over. But they're probably going to develop their own Fox branded stuff because Fox has a strong brand on its own, especially channels like FX. So I wouldn't assume that everything just jumps into the Disneyland right away. However, Hulu is the real special case, isn't it? Because although Disney was a 30% owner before, now it can do whatever it wants with it. Does it shut it down? Does it convert it into the Disney service somehow? I think what makes sense for Disney is to say the one thing we didn't have and weren't planning on having was a live television service. We should try to maintain Hulu as the place to get live television and let the live DVR slowly replace any loss of deals that the traditional Hulu had that maybe we can't maintain now that we own 60% and people don't want to play ball as nicely anymore. But we can keep filling it with Fox and ABC stuff. And that's where I think they'll go, is they'll push Hulu as like the linear cable replacement service. And then the Disney thing is a Netflix competitor. And I would expect them to move Hulu away from being seen as a Netflix competitor, although they will continue to do Hulu originals, I would think.
Yeah, I think you're right about moving Hulu away from being a Netflix competitor, full stop. However, that's unfortunate because it casts a shadow on what we're looking at in the terms of future Hulu originals. Lately, all the Hulu stuff I've been watching has been, some of their, frankly, quite brilliant originals that they're doing lately. And I would hate to see that disrupted in favor of, favoring their primary.
And I don't think it would need to be. DirecTV keeps trying to do originals as a way to get you into DirecTV or DirecTV Now, but nobody really talks about those. Everybody talks about Handmaid's Tale. So that gives Disney a big thing to say, okay, Brian Brushwood, we'll give you a package where you can watch the Hulu originals, but we're going to keep trying to entice you into Hulu Live because that's where we can really make our big money. And having like really high quality originals as an entryway into a larger service is a pretty good deal for Disney, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. However, I do think you're right. I'm surprised. All of the circles that I run in, the headline has been X-Men and Fantastic Four are coming home. And just try to remember what an infinitesimally small part of this deal those properties are compared to everything else. It'll be really interesting to see how this shakes up your enjoyment of Netflix or your enjoyment of Hulu or your enjoyment of the forthcoming Fox alternative.
And the other thing, and we've talked about this before when the rumors of this were out, this shows that Netflix and Amazon are serious threats because you don't see Disney and Fox consolidate their movie studio. I mean, forget all of the other stuff that's going in here. Like you say, it's a huge deal, but just the consolidation of two major movie studios like that. I mean, you now essentially have three studios, the Disney complex, NBC Universal, and Sony. That's it. Like it's gone down to three, and the pressure that made that happen, I think, was Amazon and Netflix.
Yeah, I agree. I think that today that's not the biggest force on the planet, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it certainly makes a case. And as Dark Redeemer says in the chat, get ready for MONOPOLY MOUSE.
Wait till they buy Comcast. No,
coming up next.
Yeah, at least Comcast is a big enough monopoly of its own to stop from being monopolized by Disney. And Sony's pretty big too. So I can't imagine there would be any other consolidation along these lines. Maybe Sony sells its movie studio off at some point, though. Or, pieces go off from different places. Maybe Comcast divests itself. There's some pressure, some regulatory pressure on Comcast to spin NBC Universal back out, just starting to build. So we could see stuff like that. The other thing to keep in mind here is that we have this little rump Fox company that's going to spin out of here as a broadcast network. That happened with CBS when Viacom split Paramount and CBS apart into Viacom and CBS. And CBS now has its own movie studio. CBS keeps growing and growing and growing. So we may yet see a Fox movie studio come back to life out of this.
Yeah, that wouldn't entirely surprise me. Here's the question. Once they buy that controlling interest. One of the orphans of this whole thing. Does that mean they get back distribution rights to the original Star Wars? Because didn't 20th Century Fox retain the very first Star
20th
Wars?
Century Fox has rights to distribute Star Wars forever, but now Disney will own 20th Century Fox. So as long as this thing approves, then Disney will own the company that has the distribution rights. So it makes it moot.
So do you think that there's any reason? I guess I remember. I remember when the prequels came out, they were distributed by 20th Century Fox, right? And then Disney took over, and then it became just Lucasfilm only. And it was, quote unquote, weird that you didn't hear the 20th Century Fox fanfare at the beginning of that.
Right.
We're past all that, right? They're not going to go back and start adding that just for some kind of
they'll
nostalgia.
add it back.
You think
they'll
so?
absolutely add it back. I think so, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because it's an easy fan win. There's so many people who want that. And they're like, yeah, throw it on there. Why not?
Yeah, I guess fair enough. Yeah.
And the Star Wars theme was tuned to open at the same note as the ending of the 20th Century Fox theme.
I didn't know that piece of work.
Lucas
That's
did
great.
that so that it would go nicely. So yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't. You know, the other thing that's kicking around there is like Disney won't get Fantastic Four because there is this independent production company who had the rights to make movies.
Is this the Roger Corman company?
This is the Roger Corman thing.
Yeah.
And people are misinterpreting this. We wouldn't have had the Fantastic Four movies from Fox if that were the case. Disney, in their press release, says they'll be bringing Fantastic Four. So while there is this complication of the Roger Corman thing, there's a lot of complications in deals like that about people having a little bit of a licensing of this for this much longer. It has not proved to be a problem for the two previous Fantastic Four movies. I don't think it'll be a problem for Disney. And Marvel owns Fantastic Four. Disney owns Fox owns the distribution rights for a Fantastic Four movie. So I don't see why they wouldn't be able to get one made.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, folks. Like I said, Star Wars The Last Jedi came out. We're going to be talking to it on Spoiler Time. And if you are a patron, you get Spoiler in Time the same time the Cordkillers episode comes out.
Yeah, dude, all in one RSS feed. It's one of the best benefits, and it's thanks to our friends over at Patreon who have never done anything wrong. If you heard that they did something wrong, no, they were thinking about doing something wrong, and it turns out they didn't because they did the right thing.
As far as the Cordkillers universe is concerned, nothing happened.
That's right. Total continuity. No retconning here.
No story.
We've never been
So yeah, we appreciate your support, and we love delivering the show because you want us to. So vote with your dollars, patreon.com/Cordkillers. And by that, I mean write Cordkillers on $1 and mail it to Patreon. Or maybe just use the website.
Or just spend it. Just spend it on it. Just get it out there. Just everybody watch Cordkillers on $1 bill. Send us a picture to @Cordkillers on Twitter, and
Can't
we'll
wait to get
retweet
one
it.
and change. Let's talk about how to watch. So back in the United States, T-Mobile says it will acquire Layer 3 TV. You've never heard of them. Don't worry about it. It's a Denver, Colorado-based television technology company. And T-Mobile is going to use it to launch its own TV service in 2018 as part of its latest Un-Carrier initiative. In a video announcement, T-Mobile CEO John Legere said he will compete with cable companies Comcast, Time Warner Cable, Charter, Frontier, and Fox. This follows T-Mobile's Binge On initiative for unlimited mobile video streaming and its incorporation of Netflix subscriptions into T-Mobile One family plans. So we don't know exactly what form it's going to take, Brian.
Yeah, this is the funny part. Very rarely do I read a summary of a story 3 or 4 times and still have no idea whatsoever what that means in practical boots on the ground terms.
They haven't said yet. That's what that story's dancing around is. T-Mobile could go a lot of different ways. They could say, we're going to be a cable company that gives you a cable box. The difference is there are no wires. We've got this wireless data network. You'll just tap into that, and that'll be your cable box, which would be kind of interesting. Seems backwards, but maybe it's a way to get people who really are just comfortable with the old way of cable. What I'm hoping is that they do an over-the-top thing, and they just compete on price like T-Mobile has done in the carrier space generally, and say, we're going to let you pick channels. We're gonna give you super cheap prices and keep this competition wheel flying.
Yeah, I guess good. Question mark. It's weird to cheer for the buying of another company of yay media consolidation. Question mark.
Well, Layer 3 is a small company. This happens all the time where companies buy smaller startups that are niche.
For their established
they have this Layer 3's
infrastructure
plan all along. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Regardless, I guess that's something I'm going to put this under, file it away in the back of your brain, and when you see T-Mobile is a network, just nod and be all like, Cordkillers. Glad I wrote that name on $1.
Yeah, no, totally. Right, and I think once we get more details, we'll be able to evaluate how good of a competitor it is. But having another one in the space right now is not bad, because this is how we shape up the best services: is get a bunch of people punching each other about features, and we get to win by picking the best features. And T-Mobile has been really good at that game as far as cell phones go. Whether they'll be good at it at TV is a different question.
Yeah, W. Scottus one in the chat's pointing out that he's already considering the fact that he could be seduced into jumping away from YouTube TV if he gets a better deal from another over-the-top network.
There you go. All right, let's talk about what to watch in Under Surveillance.
It's all about location. Under surveillance.
Man, so many things to watch. Bloomberg has launched its 24/7 news channel on Twitter. We talked about that previously, but you can watch it now. Go to twitter.com/TikTok, TICTOC.
Man, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good name. I think I like it. It's better than all the names for the competitors to Patreon combined.
NBC has the right to stream Sunday night football games to smartphones starting in 2018. You'll still have to authenticate. It's TV everywhere. But before, Verizon had a lockdown on the mobile streaming, so they won't anymore.
I still got a little beef with a broadcast network requiring that you have cable to authenticate to watch the broadcast network stuff they're sending out for free. That's really weird to me.
Yeah, but they're not sending it out for free to your phone. They're sending it out free to your antenna. You can hook an antenna up to your phone. Go for it.
That's true, but you're not. Well, I guess you are paying for it if you have cable. Yeah, fair enough. You switched me. Well done.
Deadline reports Apple has ordered a space drama from Ronald D. Moore, of course, the maker of Outlander and Battlestar Galactica.
Well,
the series
more
is
importantly,
reportedly
the famous cameo actor from Portlandia.
Right. You know, the actor from Portlandia. The series is reportedly based on the idea that Cold War space race never ended, and it just takes it to its extreme conclusion. Apple has not announced release dates for any of its new scripted series, but they've got one from Spielberg, one from Jennifer Aniston, and now one with Ronald D. Moore on board.
Man, I hope this is good. I'm one of the few people who actually has a bigger fondness for the movie 2010 than 2001, because 2010 explored this exact idea. It was, what if the Cold War never ended? And it's 2010, and we're at the brink of nuclear war, and all of a sudden these group of astronauts, some Soviet, some American, have to decide whether or not they're going to obey orders and stay on other sides of the ship. It was electric, and I wonder how well it will do outside of that environment, because in the mid 1980s, that was your life. You woke up, you're like, hey, good morning. We're all going to die in a nuclear war, and the Russians are evil. So unlike today, which
today
totally
we're all going to die in a different nuclear war, and the Russians are bad for a different reason.
Yes, exactly.
Totally different. I actually, because of that, I wonder, will this be the Soviet Union? Will it be an alternate universe where the Soviet Union never fell? Or will it just be Russia? And they're like, oh, yeah, it's the same Russia that we know today, but they just never stopped the space race somehow.
I think the second one would be the one to sell it on, because 2010 worked for me because it was a slice of my real life made, writ large on the silver screen. And I think that would work nowadays.
NBC is making its third attempt to adapt the It Crowd for the U.S. UK It Crowd creator Graham Lineham will write and produce. Third time's the charm. Here we go.
Sure. I'll buy it. I mean, they got to write give or take with The Office. Why not?
Yeah. First time with The Office. It's It Crowd or IT Crowd. Graham Lineham has said that he meant it to be It Crowd, but he doesn't mind if people call it IT Crowd. But if you don't know, it's a great show. Go find it and watch it. The British version is hilarious, and it's about IT workers, tech workers. They're going to reboot it, though. Graham says it's going to be different than the British run now. They're not going to try to recapture it like they were the first two times around. Netflix has ordered prep work to begin on season 2 of Altered Carbon. And yes, season 1 isn't out yet. Season 1 comes out in February. Prep work means that Netflix has ordered scripts, booked studio space, and invoked holding clauses in actor contracts. Of course, those can be canceled if season 1 flops, but it sounds like they don't expect it to.
Well, and keep in mind, most of these projects have a pretty good idea of how they're going to fare, especially when they're in attention sensitive markets like Netflix or cable television, where it's like, in general, if you go to a channel to watch a extended cable television show, it's because you care about the show or whatever. The issues, as I understand it, might be a little murkier in broadcast television, where it's like something could do good enough and you just keep shoveling it out. In this case, we saw this with certainly House of Cards. They got 2 seasons before the first one ever came out. Hopefully that's a good sign that in their confidence.
If I'm reading the tea leaves with Netflix these days, this kind of announcement means we're getting along with the production company and we're happy with the episodes we've seen so far. So we're going ahead and writing some contracts. We're willing to risk that versus, with some productions, it's like, we are not getting along with them. They're not taking our notes. They're spending money wrong. So we're going to put a stop and hold on until we can get that fixed.
Right.
Hollywood Reporter and Variety report that George Clooney and Bridge of Spies writer Matt Charman are working on an 8-episode miniseries for Netflix about Watergate.
This could be very, very good. And much like the movie 2010, timely. There are people who are frustrated who feel like this is a weird, wacky political time for us. Ain't nothing compared to the days of Watergate. Man, those were insane times. In 1975, we had a president and a vice president that nobody elected. Whoops. Those are messed up times.
I mean, special prosecutors got fired. There wasn't any we're worried about it might happen. It happened. Nixon just did it.
It turned out not to be a great decision 18 months later when he was out.
But also George Clooney working with Netflix. Netflix got to love that, right? That's a nice thing to put on your meeting head to header.
Netflix has done a great job of making themselves the darlings of talented Hollywood. They are, all of a sudden every actor, every producer, anyone had a chip in their back pocket in every negotiation with ... Or I don't know, we could take it to Netflix, I guess. And then meanwhile, Netflix made it super easy to work with, lots of money raining down all around. I mean, they've done a great job of attracting top talent.
Netflix announced on Facebook that season 2 of The Punisher is coming. I haven't watched season 1, so I don't have a lot to say about that.
I've heard some interesting, I don't want to say mixed reviews because it makes it sound like they're all negative or conflicted. I've had some people who loved it, thinking because it was unlike the rest of the Marvel Netflix stuff, and some that didn't like it for the same reason.
And among the many collaborations between DreamWorks and Netflix scheduled for 2018 is a revival of She-Ra, Princess of Power. Noelle Stevenson, co-creator of Lumberjanes, will be the showrunner. There's also going to be a bunch more Trolls shows, a Boss Baby show, and an adaptation of Captain Underpants.
What are the odds that She-Ra, Princess of Power, is one of these self-aware My Little Pony? We're pretending like it's for kids, but it's really for 33-year-old men.
Oh, I don't think that. My guess would be it's going to be a, hey, Mom, we're helping you and your daughters feel strong. Wink, wink. That's where I think they will.
I see. I feel like it's got to have some detached irony for that to work. Kind of like I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I think
they would have done He-Man if they were going to do that.
I don't think so, because He-Man is so pre-millennial in its hierarchy. What do you call it, where it's all men based? I can't think. Patriarchal setup. Whereas like She-Ra, I think would be the more attractive property because it would be cheaper, and it would also. It's a woman in power, and a woman in power can get away with saying stuff that a man in power
you do the
can't.
same thing with He-Man, but you make it She-Ra.
She-Ra, you get to punch upward the entire way, is what I'm saying.
And you're going to have He-Man show up.
Yes, exactly. And
maybe She-Ra's world.
Have He-Man show up and be like the dumb boss, who's part of the old patriarchy.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about what we've been watching. The only thing that we're not going to talk about on Spoiler in Time that I've been watching is Victoria. The series that's been on PBS. It's an ITV series, I think, from the UK, coming back to PBS in January. Stars Jenna Coleman, formerly Clara, on the Doctor Who series. She is fantastic as Victoria. And if you are like me, someone who liked Downton Abbey, like The Crown, got to check out Victoria. And I got to see a preview version of All the Money in the World, which is the story of J. Paul Getty's grandson being kidnapped and how Getty resisted paying the ransom money. It's a great period piece. It's got Mark Wahlberg and Michelle Williams. It's decent. But what's amazing about it is that they replaced Kevin Spacey 3.5 weeks ago.
Oh, that's right.
Think about this.
Now,
3.5 weeks ago, they had cut a trailer that was running in theaters. They had a final cut of a movie that was scheduled to come out in December. And Ridley Scott actually was at the screening I saw, came out and said, I met Christopher Plummer for the first time 3.5 weeks ago and said, would you like to do this crazy thing where I'm going to cut Kevin Spacey out of this movie? And Plummer said, I'm a big fan of your work, but I'd have to read the script. So he read the script. He did it in I think it was, I've heard different things, from 10 to 12 days of shooting. They reshot every scene that Spacey had been in and put Plummer in, and it is seamless.
Wow. So you watching an early cut, and again, capital letters, early cut, it's everything flowed and was fine.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the cut Monday, which, yes, they could fix a few things between now and the Christmas Day release. They delayed it from December 22nd to December 25th. That's how much extra time they gave themselves. But yeah, I didn't think they needed to. I mean, there were a couple of CG things that I noticed, but I think those were probably there in the Spacey version. They didn't seem related to Christopher Plummer, and he's in it a lot.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, it's an interesting story. It's about a guy who's like, I negotiate. I'm not going to pay $17 million for my grandson. I love my grandson, but if I pay $17 million, they'll just kidnap.
Cheaper for me to spend $16 million on an army to kill these people and everyone they've ever loved.
Well, or they'll just kidnap my other grandson. So let's bargain them down. Let's put the pressure on it, and it's a really interesting take on that. Anything that you've been watching you want to mention?
Yeah, all of The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu, and all the usual suspects: Last Jedi, Mr. Robot, and Deadwood.
Yep, me too. What are you thinking about The Handmaid's Tale? You're finally getting into that.
Feel like I'm taking a bullet so Bonnie doesn't have to. Like, I just keep wanting to share any of this with Bonnie, but it's like, it'll be great if this story gets to a place where somebody punches it to the man, but that whole first season from beginning to end is about the man punching our protagonist.
It's hard.
It's
like, hard to watch.
I just like every man, I just want to punch in the face. It's awful.
Yeah, no, that's what that show does. That's exactly what it does. And that's what the book does too. So, what should we be on the lookout for, Bryce?
Hey, first off, I want to let everybody know that if you want even more recommendations, we're going to do a whole, probably about an hour of the Killies. We did it last year. We're going to do it again this year. It's going to be me, Tom, and Brian giving our recommendations from all of our favorite shows that we discovered over the past year. So if you're with the family, you got a new streaming box, you don't know what to watch, we're going to have a bunch of recommendations for you. That'll be out next week for the normies and out early for the Patreons. So keep a lookout on your feeds for that. But today I want to talk a little bit about Netflix's short doc, Long Shot. I think I told you, Brian, a little bit about Long Shot.
This was one of those watching late at night, right before I go to sleep. It's only like 39 minutes long, right?
Yeah, it's like 40 minutes. And it's about a man, Juan Catalan, who is one night arrested for a murder that he did not commit. And the process of trying to prove where he was that night, which was at a Dodgers game in LA Dodgers, is that?
Yep.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's right.
And how do you prove that you were in a stadium of 50,000+ people? Well, it helps if they're shooting an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and there are specifically cameras all around. Who knows what you can find? And that's not even all. There are a lot of vectors to this. It's a very interesting, very easily digestible, because it's short, true crime story, and it's not necessarily gruesome or
It did have a different flavor. It was sort of light from the beginning because
Right.
you know he was exonerated kind of before it even begins. So it's safe. It's a safe place to enter that playground.
Yeah, and it's very emotional. You hear a lot about him and his relationship with his girlfriend and his daughter and his family, and it's It's great. It's really cool. And I think if you got a little bit of time, check out Long Shot.
All right. If you got something we should be on the lookout for, it could be a long shot of a recommendation. Just email it to us, cordkillers@gmail.com. Now, we do other things, Brian and I. We like to tell you about them. I've been telling you about my book, Bavaria, which is out in ebook and print form. It's about a colony ship where they've had a power outage, so they can't keep everything running, and parts of the ship have forgotten they're on a ship because it's so big and the environment is so well done. And there is a secret that could help turn the engines on, but it could also explode the ship. So a guy gets sent to try to recover some notes to find out which of those is going to happen. Mystery ensues. People are chasing him. If this sounds interesting, you can buy it right now at tommerrittbooks.com, or you can get the audiobook, which is almost completed, at patreon.com/acetotech. That's my writing Patreon. And it is me just every week recording a few more chapters. There's only 4 more chapters to go. So next week I will complete the chapters. So, I mean, now's a great time to get in on the Patreon and get access to all of those. Patreon.com/acedetect. And of course, after it's all recorded, I intend to submit it to Audible so everybody can get it as well. So patreon.com/acedetect for the audiobook, or tommerrittbooks.com for the book.
I don't think we've spoken since I finished Pilot X, did we?
You said you liked it, but yeah, I don't think you were finished.
No,
yet.
yeah, I was halfway through. No, I really, really enjoyed it. It was fantastic, and as I mentioned on the phone, my favorite part was about 1/3 of the way into the book when I stopped thinking of the voice saying the words as my friend Tom Merritt's voice and just thought of it as the ambiguous the author. And then once that happened, it was just a grooving story, and it swept the dance floor and obsessed the next 3 days of my audio.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm really glad that you didn't say, well, I got to the end and my opinion has changed.
Yeah, oh, no. That would be rough.
All right, let's check out the front lines.
Front lines!
Amazon said Thursday it's going to resume selling Apple TV and 2 versions of Apple TV 4K and the Chromecast and Chromecast Ultra. Amazon removed all these devices from the store in late 2015. So peace in our time, Brian.
They kissed and made up. Good for you, even though you're neighbors who like your fences between each other.
Do you think that this is going to mean a reversal of our big story last week where you couldn't watch YouTube on Amazon devices?
I think all of that
hasn't yet.
Hasn't yet, but
I mean, they got to let you watch YouTube on Amazon devices, right?
you would
I
think.
mean, Amazon doesn't put the Chromecast back in for no reason. There's got to be talks, right? There's got to be something. But I wonder what the holdup is.
It might be technological. Might be, adding a thing to a store is very easy. Press a button, authorize sale.
But the YouTube's already in the store. It just has a thing saying we're leaving on January 1st. So
they made blocks to YouTube.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Nah, we'll see.
All right.
Meanwhile, Redbox On Demand is launching, offering movies and TV shows for purchase and rent. You could stream them or download them for offline viewing. You could get it on Android, iOS, Apple TV, Chromecast, Roku, and smart TVs from LG and Samsung.
Godspeed, Redbox.
May you do half as well as you did in the 90s.
I mean, honestly, this is a decent move for Redbox because they have a still large following of people who rent DVDs, and they're just going to keep losing those people to online. So why not lose them to yourself and give those people like, hey, you want to do that online thing you keep hearing about? Well, guess what? You'd stay right here in the Redbox land.
Yeah,
no worries.
That's a really good way to put it because this is not a move to play to win. This is a move to play to stay in the game.
Totally. Samsung began streaming Amazon videos in HDR10 Plus on its smart TVs. This is the first time HDR10 Plus has been available from a streaming service. HDR10 Plus features dynamic tone mapping, which lets brightness levels shift depending on whether a particular scene is brightly lit or dark based on the metadata attached to the video. So that's what HDR is all about, is making the colors work better. It's the 5th HDR standard, though, and it's licensed through a partnership of Samsung, 20th Century Fox, and Panasonic. Really, really hope we settle on one of these someday. Be awesome.
Tom, can I confess something? I took a tour through Fry's Electronics with my daughter because we had 20 minutes to kill, and I was like, well, let's go look at TVs. That's the one thing that you can't replicate on the Amazon experience.
Sure.
Walking around, I swear to you, I could not, if I had money in the game, tell you which of them were HDR televisions. Like maybe if I had them side by side, but I'm really as bullish as I was on the rumor of HDR. Pretty bearish on the execution as far as it being not revolutionary. It's evolutionary at best. It's an enhancement of 4K. It's not a reason to jump up and punch the ceiling.
I definitely can tell the difference when I go from an HD like Amazon show to an HDR Amazon show, which I have done a couple of times. Man in the High Castle, huge difference, especially the dark scenes. The dark scenes in HD sometimes I couldn't see. The HDR scenes, the contrast was so good. I wonder if the problem in the fries is they just jack up the contrast on all the television.
I'm sure that's the case because everything did. It looked like a Hudson Valley school. Am I thinking that? What was the Westward Expansion Manifest Destiny School of Painting? The Hudson River Valley School of Painting.
Hudson River Valley.
Yeah,
School.
where it's just insane. Everything's gold and reds everywhere. Meanwhile, Hulu added a picture-in-picture mode, improved search, and a user-controlled watch list to Hulu Live TV service. Features are being tested on the web at beta.hulu.com. Picture-in-picture, man. Talk about 25-year-old blast from the past.
Yeah, right? Picture-in-picture was huge, and then it went away because you didn't have tuners anymore. You didn't have analog cable anymore.
Well, and it really went away with TiVo. Man, there was a hot minute, and it's hard for people to remember, when nobody you talk to would understand or appreciate the concept of a TiVo. They're like, what? Why would I want to watch even more TV? And I kept having to explain, no. You watch less TV. It's just only the TV you want. You're not watching garbage because time shifts for you, and it's a concept, I swear.
You could the big things were pause live TV. That TiVo hammered that, and skip commercials, which they couldn't really run their ads on because they were not popular with the people paying for or accepting money for the ads. Then YouTube TV has expanded to 34 new metro areas for a grand total of 83 in the U.S. New locations include, among many others, New Orleans, Green Bay, Tucson, Tulsa, San Diego, and San Antonio. Go Spurs.
It's one of those weird things where it's like the benefit of being second, third, fourth, and fifth is that you don't have to blaze a trail. The downside is that you're yet another option by the time you come out. And it's like if times had changed, obviously we jumped on Sling early on, and now right now I'm happy in PlayStation View. I'm just happy enough that I don't know that I'll ever have an excuse to shift over to YouTube TV.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried it out. It's nice. I don't want to have to pick up my phone to watch TV. And I already have PlayStation View. So there you go. Time for some dispatches from the front. Brian, are you ready?
I'm ready.
For the ultimate cord cutting challenge?
Oh, yeah. No, I've got my hedge clippers. I've got my Sawzall. I got this diamond tipped circular saw. Let's go.
Good. Because I present to you Ted's 77-year-old dad.
Uh-oh.
Ted says, "Hey, Cordkillers, my dad has lately been chafing at the almost $300 he pays to his local cable company for internet, cable, and phone. He's very interested in cutting the cord, but I don't think he could deal with the complexity of choosing a streaming box, a few streaming services, and wiring up all the TVs in the house for streaming boxes. I'm happy to serve as the family IT department and get them all set up, but I have very little faith that they'll remember how to use it when I leave. If you were going to design a cord-killing strategy for a couple senior citizens accustomed to cable, what would you choose?"
Hoo boy. I mean, I would say collapse everything into one service. If they're not already fans of Amazon Prime or Netflix, or Hulu, then let's not acknowledge those exist. Let's figure out a solution that exists purely in their world that feels like cable. Now, I can't speak to the YouTube one, but DirecTV over-the-top network is apparently very cable-like. PlayStation View, I can vouch for, feels very, very cable-like. Is there any others that you feel like are a slam dunk?
Yeah, I mean, device-wise, I'd say Roku or Apple TV, and it kind of depends on the services you pick, which one. Apple TV might be a little bit easier for them to navigate on, so especially because it has the TV app, which is real simple.
I'm assuming one thing I've noticed in the greater generation to ours is that they they tend to like and appreciate constantly live television, so-called by us waterfall television. So with that in mind, are they just gonna?
Well, okay, yeah. So where I was going is like I would settle on Roku and Apple TV, and then I'd pick one of those based on services and interface. So the interface on Apple TV is generally better for apps than the interfaces on Roku. So I'd probably lean towards Apple TV, and then it's Hulu's interface is way too confusing right now. Forget that. YouTube TV, they'd have to pick up a phone. Forget that. PlayStation View, pretty good. It's got a guide that's pretty easy to get to on the Apple TV, and that's going to feel real familiar to them.
It looks and feels just like cable, and I think that's one of the things my kids like about it.
The other thing, though, is Sling TV is really visual. Like, it's very good at just saying, here are all the channels with their logos. That's kind of easy to navigate on. So I'd say I'd pick it on interface, and I would look at the free trials, maybe even take them through a couple of them and kind of observe and see which one they sort of take to. My guess is PlayStation View, because of its big grid guide, or Sling TV will be their favorites.
So you say hardware, go with the Apple TV, or possibly a Roku if cost is a factor, right? Or multiple Rokus throughout the house. Yeah. And basically try on free trials. Just give them load up 3 trials and show them, let them say which one you like, and then they try it on, and then the moment they pick, the other 2 never existed. Just delete everything, shut everything down, and they're living in their own little box. I
might even venture into giving them Netflix to see what they do with it, but Brian's probably right.
It took my parents a while to finally get into Netflix, man. It was a good 5 years of me like, it seems like you guys should check out Netflix. Steven writes in saying, I'm at Star Wars and there's a commercial for the Fantasy Film Movie League. It's fantasy football meets the movies, like the movie draft. They ripped you off. And to which I say, yes, they probably did. Also, enjoy.
He didn't say they ripped us off. But
that was the subject heading of the email.
Oh,
I forgot to copy that over.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he said they ripped us off.
Yeah, okay. We're not the first people to do fantasy movie.
Well, I mean, actually, technically, there was a writer's pool at The Simpsons that have one that predated the NSFW movie draft by about 20 months. But independently, because it was the right idea at the right time, NSFW came up with their version, our version, and we've been going ever since. So who knows? I would like to think there's some connective tissue there, that somebody somewhere
maybe
passed it on.
I'm actually on a team in this thing that he's talking about.
In this exact league?
No, well, I'm in the Ron Richards league.
Traitor.
He invited me into his league.
Traitor.
So I have a team in there. I think I'm either number 2 or number 3 on the season.
Traitor.
I mean, you can play both. You don't have to pick. You can be in the movie draft and in the fantasy.
No, I agree. You should be able to play for Russia and the United States. Why not?
God.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's one world, Brian. One love. Okay, Chris has got an illegal or unethical or neither, and I apologize in advance to those of you who have heard us answer this exact same situation before, but it's been a while, so we're going to revisit it. Maybe there's some new information. Chris says, let's say that I subscribe to Premium Channel X. Let's also say that I have a rooted streaming device, and this device has software to stream anything I want. Channel X has a show every week, which I like. Some weeks I can't watch at the time it's broadcast. I'm a little impatient. I don't want to wait several days for the show to be on demand. I opt to use my streaming device as if it were a cloud DVR. I have paid for the privilege of watching this show. I'm basically just time shifting. Thoughts?
Allow me to make my prediction here. That's a nice story to tell yourself. It doesn't make it remotely legal. People price things differently because they serve different purposes, and if you have an inconvenient restriction on a thing, that is probably the justification for why it is cheaper than the other thing. Buying the cheaper thing and then entitling yourself to access to the more expensive version of the thing with all of its perks and benefits is not ethical or legal. Tom.
Yeah. I think you pretty much covered it, man. The thing, especially with this, like, you could buy a DVR. You just don't want to spend the money to buy a DVD.
You could buy the commercial-free version of it on Amazon for 99 cents, but you just don't want to do that either.
Let's pretend that this one isn't available the next day. Maybe it's an HBO show or something like that. But yeah, if it's available the next day, you could totally do that.
And by the way, we're not telling you what to do. We're not saying you're a bad person.
No.
But we are saying that, no, we do not give out blanket pardons for people who want to feel good about stealing stuff. It's like, look, man, you steal it, that's fine. The price you pay is not in your wallet. It's in your heart.
So true.
Sean writes us, PSA, MoviePass charged me a monthly charge and a yearly charge this month. Reddit has some people saying that they signed up for yearly and were only billed monthly. I suggest everyone check their billing statements. Bryce, have you run into anything on this?
I am not signed up for the yearly, even though it seems like a good deal. I still haven't pulled the trigger on that, so I haven't had that personally.
I mean, this is just good life advice, right? Always check your billing statements because companies screw up. So,
Nowadays, it's easier than ever, though, right? Like, you just sit down on your computer before you press the pay this bill button. You scroll through and you look at everything, and you're like, didn't I pay that every month? Previous.
Hold on.
Yeah.
But if you're on automatic recurring payment.
Oh, yeah. No, I never do that. I always make.
It is a good idea. If Sean is like, hey, this happened to me. If you're a yearly subscriber, you might want to check. Make sure it didn't happen to you. That's good advice. Hey, everybody. Our website is cordkillers.com. You should go there and check it out. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. You should send us an email. And we're live on diamondclub.tv and twitch.tv Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. You should watch us. We'll see you next time.
Hey guys, Tom and Brian here. We just wanted to say thank you to all of our $5 patrons who keep us loud, live, and independent. You guys make Cordkillers the production that it is.
Your name appears in the video credits and appears in our hearts. And if you'd like to become one of them or see who they are, you can go to patreon.com/Cordkillers.
You'll need to do more than just go there, though. You'll have to sign up and, pledge an amount. But
unless you just want to see who they are.
Well, I mean, you could gawk. That's a little creepy, isn't it?
If you want to be a gawker,
let's go.
It's up to you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.